I can recommend prosecution. I have sufficient evidence, and it is in the public interest, and I have a reasonable prospect of conviction. I used the law as it was, and I applied it to the circumstances, and I did my contribution to the task force, and whatever was presented to His Excellency the President was the result of the conclusion of the task force. That task force included civil society. Thank you. About bills going to Parliament and the government losing or courts declaring bills or legislation unconstitutional. First and foremost, it is the work of the courts to do that. That is one of the duties that they've been given. And if they do it, they are not doing a wrong thing. We should ask ourselves, why then the notoriety? I believe that most legislations that we have come up with of late have been to comply or to operationalize the 2010 constitutions. Most of the contents of those bills contain new jurisprudence, not only to the executive, but even to the judiciary. I take it as a testing time. We are testing the Constitution through bills, through legislation. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, a testament to this is that even in the Court of Appeal, there are issues that they've not agreed on. They have not given direction. It is a good thing for us to test a new legislation. It will be volatile for some time, but after some times when we have matured with the 2010 Constitution, then the law will be settled. But that having been said, it is a concern if bills are declared unconstitutional when the Honorable Attorney General has contributed to them. What I would do is to find out why they have been declared unconstitutional. Number two, I would make sure that as the Attorney General, I advise that wherever we come up with a bill, it meets the constitutional requirements as provided. Thank you.
Now, Dorcas nominee will take a batch of 333, starting with Isola, Posing, then on Gikaria, in that order.
All right, thank you.
One question each, in that order. No preambles.
All right, thank you.
One
Please allow me
question
to ask
each, in that order. No preambles.
Chairman, all right,
No
thank you. Please allow me
question
to ask.
each,
You have
in
served
that
in the
it is realized. We cannot selectively follow the Constitution on the matters that suit us, but on matters we cannot selectively follow the Constitution again later, on the matters that suit us, but on matters we cannot selectively the law that mandates this, and so there is a law, and the attempts have been received with different divergent legal views. What is your position on this? And the attempts have been received with different divergent legal.
Mine to the nominee, the Office of Attorney General, is practical one, which is nominee, I want to know, or the people of Kenya, in assessing your suitability, we want to know what is your opinion or vision on these contracts or clauses in contracts that a government entity enters with
but even to the judiciary.
international companies.
I take it as a testing
And
time.
in those
We are
clauses,
testing
the clauses
Constitution
inside those
through
contracts,
bills,
and I've seen it
through
from
legislation.
being chairman
Honorable
PIC,
Speaker and honorable
where Kenya
members,
lose money.
a
They
testament
put
to
a clause
this
to say
is that, even
if there's
in
a
the Court of
conflict
Appeal,
in that contract,
there are issues that they've not
that
agreed
the
on. They
arbitration
have not given
or
direction.
the legal
It is a good thing
resolution
for us to
will be done,
test
for example,
a new
in London.
legislation. It will
And
be
yet,
volatile
Madam
for
Nominee,
some
through
time.
the chairman,
But after some times
the
when we
money
have
is paid
matured with the
is
2010
100%
Constitution,
exchequer,
then
which means it's our money.
the law will be settled.
And our case in point is
But that having been
GDC,
said, it is
where
a
Kenya
concern
lost
if
hundreds of
bills
millions
are
of money
declared
in
unconstitutional
London through
when the
something I
Honorable
call
Attorney
kangaroo
General
court
has
called
contributed
arbitration,
to them.
where people can
What I
agree
would do
to
is to
fleece
find
people's
out
money
why
and
they
agree.
have been
Order,
declared unconstitutional.
Arbitrations
Number
are
two, I
legitimate
would make
courts
sure that as the Attorney
within
General,
both
I advise
our system
that
and the international
wherever we come up with a bill, it meets
systems.
the constitutional
They cannot be called
requirements
kangaroo courts.
as
That's not a
provided.
fair
Thank you.
comment.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, but that's my
Now,
opinion.
Dorcas nominee will
Maybe it's
take
different from
a
a legal
batch of
practice,
333,
but I found it a kangaroo court, Honorable Speaker. That just
starting
people
in
sit down and
Isola,
agree.
Posin,
And
then on
Kenyans, Madam
Ikaria.
Nominee, through my
That
speaker,
order.
has lost a lot of money through that process.
All right,
So
thank
what,
you.
what's your
One
opinion?
question each. That
Can we
order.
have
No
change the law
preambles.
and
All
have
right,
a
thank
contract
you.
particularly where
Question
Kenyan
asked.
money,
That order.
which is
No
exchequer.
Chairman.
Maybe if it's
All
a
right,
law,
thank you.
One
Answer
question
that's a different
each.
way.
You have
That
served
What
order.
is your opinion on that, Madam Nominee, so that Kenyans don't lose money as we lost through GDC? I thank you, Speaker, in that kangaroo court.
Not being a lawyer yourself, we forgive you. Go on,
Thank
Kikaria.
you, Chairman. Chairman, I have this
Yes.
question.
Speaker,
Yes, Junet.
Speaker, I thought Honorable Koseng is a lawyer. I saw him that time when we had the cases in Hague. I saw him carrying a lot of documents and saying that he's filing cases in Hague and
That is exactly what he was doing, carrying documents. That doesn't make you a lawyer. Go on, Dorcas.
Point of order, Speaker, but
Go on, sorry, Gikaria.
Chair, there is this review of the Constitution. There is a call for us to review the Constitution, either be it through the parliamentary initiative or the popular initiative, on some quarters, like not having even the opposition leader in parliament and things like that. And also the very thin line between, like what happened just there recently, on a constitutional issue under Article 37 and the Public Order Act. Maybe in your view, Madam Nominee, what, in your view, are the sections that we need to look for in terms of the constitutional amendment, particularly to be able to align some of those very thin lines between Article 37 and the Public Order Act, where you have to balance the two for us to realize. So maybe in your view, which areas do we need to look for the amendment in the Constitution? Thank you.
Yes, nominee, can you deal?
Chairman, and my colleagues, my apologies. It has something to do with what I had asked. I just want to know the past costly AG advices to government, mainly driven by vested in-house manipulative cartels, especially in Treasury, and official systems operatives in huge government development projects. I'd like to know your view on that.
You can respond to those three honorable members.
Thank you,
Naisula,
Honorable Speaker,
Posing,
sir.
but also don't call arbitrations kangaroo because they are not.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, and members of this committee. I am not privy to any advice of an Attorney General under whom I served that was not taken by the executive. As to what I would do if my advice is not taken, I take it that the Constitution provides that the Attorney General is the principal legal advisor to government in legal matters. I look at the President as a vision bearer of the whole country. As he receives advice from the Office of the Attorney General, he has to take into account other sectors because the law does not exist in a vacuum. He has to take into account socio-economic matters, security matters, and I believe he not only gets advice from the Attorney General, but also from those other sectors. It is the culmination of all these advices from different sectors in which I have no expertise to give that the President of the Republic of Kenya would make a decision. If the President of the Republic of Kenya is the vision bearer and everybody under him is working towards achieving the vision of the government of the day, I do not see where there can be a conflict. Otherwise, for me, I would give efficient, professional advice, which is just, which is fair, which is objective, which is truthful, and which is in accordance with the Constitution. The lost cases in the judiciary, I think it is important for me to say that I am not able to comment on why specific cases are lost unless I am seized with the information. But I also think that it is the responsibility of the Attorney General to put in place mechanisms to mitigate loss. And where loss is occasioned deliberately by an officer, to take action or to recommend action. The 2/3 gender rule. The Constitution provides that in all appointive and elective posts, one gender should not be more than 1/3, 2/3. I think this is an issue that has been litigated. This is an issue that is before this House. And I would be cautious in commenting on it unless I see what is before Parliament and wherever we come up with the initiative. But I know that in the office of the Attorney General, in the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, we have reached the threshold.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, but that's my opinion.
Legal education
Maybe it's different from a legal practice.
This is a rowdy
But I found it a
place.
kangaroo court, Honorable
Very,
Speaker.
very rowdy.
That just people sit down and
Very
agree.
rowdy.
And
I say that because
Kenyans, Madam,
I
nominee through my speaker,
live with
has
some
lost a
of
lot
those
of money
people.
through that process.
All right,
So
thank
what,
you.
what's
I
your
have seen
opinion?
them.
Can we change the law
I
and have
empathize
a
and
contract
sympathize
where
with
Kenyan money, which is next
I
year?
understand.
Maybe it's a
All
law
right, thank you.
that
That
it can
is
wait.
justice.
What is your opinion on
There
that,
are
Madam
given reports
nominee, so that
the
Kenyans don't
Attorney
lose money
General.
as we lost through
Those
EDC?
reports are in the
I thank
office
you,
of the
Speaker.
Attorney
In that
General.
kangaroo court.
And pursuant to those reports, there are two
Not
bills
being a
pending
lawyer
before
yourself, we
Parliament
forgive you.
to harmonize
Go on,
legal
Kikaria.
education,
Chairman, I have
to set
Yes.
standards,
question.
Speaker.
Yes,
accreditation.
Jumet.
Speaker,
Because,
I
Mr.
thought,
Speaker, sir, I am
Honorable
told
Koseng is a lawyer.
that in
I
some
saw him
instances,
that time when
you go to an
we had
accredited
the
university,
cases in Hague.
but when you
I
go
saw
to
him
the
carrying
School
a
of
lot
Law,
documents
you are
and
not
saying
allowed
that
or you are not
he's filing
admitted.
cases in Hague
I
and
know
here-
these people are
That
frustrated.
is exactly what he was
and
doing,
that is my
carrying
priority.
documents.
To go and look at these
That
two
doesn't
reports,
make you a lawyer.
to look at what is pending in Parliament,
Go on,
and to
Dr.
make sure
Order,
that
Speaker.
we recall it back because this was 3-4 years
Go on,
ago.
Dr.
There could be some
sorry,
intervening
Gikaria.
factors to make sure that
Chair,
we are responsive.
there is this
because these
review
people
of
need
the
a closure
Constitution.
and they need to know. They legitimately expected that after learning law, they would be admitted. So I do agree. This is a very rowdy area. It is frustrating and it calls for priority. And it will be one of my priorities if I'm accorded an opportunity to serve. At the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, having found that this was a problem, we created a cadre called legal interns. We tried to bring in people who had gone through the School of Law, but for one reason or another could not be admitted because they were frustrated. In fact, we started by getting in 100 and we distributed them. But apparently that was not in accordance with what Treasury expected, so we had no money, so we stopped it. I also think that it is the responsibility of the Attorney General to relook at pupillage so that we can structure some pupillage mechanism within the executive so that we can absorb some of these children. It is an area that, as an Attorney General, as an advocate, and having been the Secretary of Public Prosecutions, I admit it is an area that needs urgent call. Thank you. I was asked about the vision. the vision of the office. Mr. Speaker, and honorable members, under the Constitution of Kenya, the Attorney General is the principal advisor to the government, also represents the government in courts. At the same time, the Attorney General is supposed to act in public interest. It occurs to me that the Attorney General is wearing two hats. He is a lawyer, he is also a minister. But this public-facing, public interest part has not been very clear. Therefore, I vision to be an Attorney General who will actualize the vision of an Attorney General under the Constitution. Be a principal legal advisor to the government, represent the government efficiently and adequately, and at the same time, protect public interest, uphold rule of law, protect human rights, good governance and accountability. I will be a responsive Attorney General and a lawyer of the people. And I hope the Office of the Attorney General will work with all the peoples of Kenya in realizing our aspirations under the Constitution. When it comes to contracts which are eschewed, Honorable Speaker, sir, I don't have any information on this, but if confirmed, I would make sure that we come up with some SOPs, standard operating procedures. We set standards, and we make sure that the Attorney General is actually represented and reliably represented in the contracts from the beginning to the end. Because unless you look at the quality of the contract and you mitigate any loss or any risk, it is very difficult to succeed in the end. So there is a need for an Attorney General to be represented from the beginning, to look at the clauses to make sure that they're responsive to what we need and that they protect us. At the same time, should we feel that some of the clauses will be injurious to us, we could review. That calls for expertise and very professional state counsel. The third question was on constitutional review. Mr. Speaker, sir, and members, the Constitution is a live document. And within the Constitution itself, there are provisions for review, which means that there is room to review and amend the Constitution. However, the rule of law requires that all laws of Kenya are made by the participation or with the participation of the people. They must be clear, they must be available, and they must be able to be legislated. For that reason, it is only the people of Kenya who can say what they want to change in a constitution, because they have to be part and parcel of the law. The office of the Attorney General can just be facilitative. Having had our constitution for the last 15 years, I would agree with those who are saying we are now ripe to relook at the constitution to see what is working or not working. And this was provided for in the Constitution and under the rule of law attributes. A law that is not working should be reviewed, should be amended so that it is responsive, so that it can speak to the times that we live in. So I will facilitate such. Yes. Thank you.
Now we'll take another batch of 3. Let's start with Robert Mbui, Owen Baya, Murugara. Daud, hold your horses.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. To the nominee, having worked in the office of the DPP, and noting that after we did our vetting in 2022, some of the nominees who had criminal cases against them, immediately after they were appointed, those cases were dropped. Now, as a legal advisor to the executive, if approved, one of the newly appointed CSs, the one for cooperative, the Honorable Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, he confirmed on oath while he was here that the EACC has been used as a political tool to frustrate him when he was not in government. Now, I have 2 issues that I want you to maybe make a comment on. First and foremost, why should EACC be asked to give an opinion when it doesn't matter? Because the opinion given by EACC did not matter in the vetting process, yet we have to fill those documents even when you apply for public office like a member of parliament. 2, what will you do about the government's, what advice will you give, legal advice will you give to the government security organs and legal entities or legal teams, EACC, DCI, DPP, on politicizing and weaponizing their offices? And finally, how will you ensure that justice is served to all those parents and people who lost their lives, who are injured and who lost valuable assets during the recent demonstrations? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. This nominee, I've only seen her on TV and newspapers. Now I have opportunity to interact with her. Yeah. But I just want to ask this question, Honorable Speaker. Drafting is very key, especially on laws. And that's probably the link between executive and parliament is how those laws come in, having passed through the AG's office. I have looked at your CV and I've listened to you. You're a very good litigant or prosecuting lawyer. But I haven't seen your strength in drafting of laws, which is probably one of the key areas that we will need to have in that office to avoid this idea of losing cases as government and passing bad laws. I haven't seen that as strength on your CV. So how will you really help this country moving forward in terms of good laws and good legislation? Secondly, a lot of these laws that have gone to court have fallen on the sword of public participation, which is a key tenet in the Constitution. And everything that we do right now, and every person who goes to court and says there was no public participation, even when public participation has been seen to be done, judges rule in favor of those litigants. What is public participation? What is the correct public participation to you? Or what are you going to do to protect Parliament and this government from that? And lastly, if you allow me, Honorable Speaker, if you look at Section 43 of the County Government Act, it is very clear that the Attorney General may assist counties in matters apart from criminal cases. That is what Section 43 of the County Government Act says. And actually it goes back to Article 156(4) of the Constitution. But county governments have been using colossal sums of money to hire lawyers without regard to the fact that the Attorney General's job to actually defend county governments. How are we going to stop this hemorrhage of money from county governments through payment to lawyers? I know the lawyers are listening to me and may not be very happy about this, but it is a tenant in the
room.
It is.
There's one next to you.
It is that monumental amounts. You look at Nairobi County government; they are running billions in terms of legal fees, and yet it is the duty of the Office of the Attorney General to assist counties in legal matters. How are you going to, do you think we need an instrument of law so that we can define the role of the Attorney General in counties? Counties are now setting up things called county attorneys, and they are basically lawyers in there at the county attorney's office, but they don't even go to court. They pay these lawyers, but then they pay external lawyers huge fees. How are you going to stop this? Because I think it is corruption. How are you going to stop it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Nominee, the office you're just about to take over is a pale shadow of what it used to be. And if we draw parallels, when it used to be held by Sir Charles Njonjo, the first black man to be the AG, and what you're taking over as the first lady, if you're approved by this House. almost everything is lost. And recently, we had as Parliament to try and salvage your position by returning the power to recruit staff back to you. And in fact, the same time also, the AG was going to lose the only asset that was left under his armpit, which was the public seal. That tells you how eroded the office is. As the incoming AG, if you are approved, what areas do you think should be recovered and returned to the office so that it is given the dignity that it used to have, which dignity possibly is now lost? Secondly, unsatisfied judgments are a nightmare in this country. If I'm not wrong, I think you owe Kenyans, or the government owes Kenyans, to the tune of about 1.6 trillion in unsatisfied judgments. What are you going to do about this? Or would you agree with me that we should be amending the Government Proceedings Act and open up government property to attachment by auctioneers to satisfy judgments that are unpaid? And lastly, the CLE, the Council for Legal Education, which I think is as old as legal practice in the country, which is started with those practices of articled clerks at the Kenya School of Law of the same time. Do you think there is any necessity of having CLE and Kenya School of Law at the same time? Or should we now merge these two so that once you go to Kenya School of Law, you come out as an advocate, even if there are regulations formulated by CLE, but this idea of exams are by CLE, education or teaching is by KSL, is misnomer as far as we are concerned. What will be your position as regards those two dockets? And finally, as the AG, will you be prepared, and can you tell Kenyans that you will actually stand up personally as a seasoned lawyer, litigator of many years standing, to defend our government in courts? Because the reason why we have lost most of these cases, to be frank, is because you do not have experienced advocates there. Number two, those you sent are junior and possibly are missed meat to seasoned lawyers out there who sue the government. Will you stand up and defend that government personally?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, and honorable members. I was asked why the EACC should give an opinion. Honorable Speaker, sir, and members, I think this issue of vetting is also murky, because even at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, we get requests to clear people from different agencies. And we have been wondering on what capacity we would do that. So I wouldn't want to comment on why the EACC is giving an opinion, but I would want to say that the whole procedure of vetting needs to be relooked at so that what we do is impactful and informs decision making. What I would do if cases are being weaponized and politicized? As far as I'm concerned, public officers act in good faith, are required to follow the Constitution, to act in the public interest and the interest of administration of justice. Whoever does the opposite is not a public officer, is a criminal. I was told that drafting is very key. And I have not drafted any. When I was introducing myself, I articulated the legislations that I have personally led and have gone through this parliament and have never been declared unconstitutional. One, the Mutual Legal Assistance Act, the Anti-Corruption Legislations, the Organized Crimes Act, the Transfer of Prisoners Act, Cybercrime Legislation, the ODPP Act, the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, and several policies and procedures. And I can assure you that none of them has been declared unconstitutional.
So they want to leave the premises once...
What is public participation? Public participation should be meaningful and impactful. As to what public participation should be is also a dicey area. And I think this is one area where we are testing our constitution. We have not come up with parameters of what is public participation. I think there is a need for a policy to give guideline or regulation on what public participation is. It might require a policy and then legislation, because I think Kenyans must be given an opportunity themselves to say what they want to see in terms of public participation. But it is an area that needs urgent consideration. And as we have agreed that our constitution is ripe for review, because it is provided for under the constitution.
This is where we plug in with the latest news.
Now I'm going to sit in my car. I'm now running down. Auntie Martha. Hi. How are you? Ashley. When she was last time? Oh, it's here.
Other leadership here, but so far they've requested content from the premises because they say that the security, rather the people at the premises do not have the right.
What we're simply saying, you need to follow the rule of law. You came, you did your search, left the whole night, the search ended at 4 a.m. You leave, you come back again. You now switch off electricity, Wi-Fi and everything. You do whatever you're doing, you break things, you beat people, then you leave. Then you come back again at 6 a.m. So what we're simply saying, and remember all this is without a warrant. So we're in a situation where we are wondering, his mom is here, she's lost the husband, she's elderly, she's sickly, but she's being subjected to all this. Why beat family members? Why harass? Why not follow the law? If you are interested with someone, come with warrants, sum that person, investigate, do your work. Nobody is refusing to follow the rule of law. But it should be within the confines of the law because the law protects all of us. There is no one above the law. So basically what you see is that Jimmy Wanjigi's home, is now a police station. In fact, it's a police property. We are all over the place, multi-agency, and we are not getting any orders or the reasons why. Because if you finished your job, you leave. You allow the family members to rest. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Maybe we just get Mom, we're live at Mtembei TV and of course Daniel Nsari Nyagaka's channel. And maybe we want to know what exactly is happening here from your side and what can you tell us since you came here?
What is happening is an illegality. Police should never search and break into people's home without warrant, unless if it's something that endangers the public. There is nothing that they are asking for Mr. Wanjigi, and we have asked them to leave on behalf of the family. They have left the main house, but they are still here outside his gate. In fact, the family cannot feel secure. They were terrorized the whole night. They have not slept. They can't even nap. we're asking the police to leave. And if they refuse to leave, we have advised the family to instead then leave and leave this house to the state for the time being. Yes.
We saw yesterday they said that there were evidence that were collected from the car. And of course, they left last night saying that they don't have any evidence. And today in the morning, they've come again, but they found new evidence. What can you say about it?
Evidence that they planted at night. They entered the house at between 4 and 5 a.m. when everybody was sleeping. Disconnected electricity so that the CCTV could not work. Disabled the internet so that there can be no communication. So if they claim they found anything which they had not found in their earlier search, hiyo ni wao wamekuja nayo.
And maybe perhaps because we've seen what is happening and from your take, is this political? Is this? It
is political, and it's the lawlessness that obtains in the Ruto regime. Ruto is not a believer in the rule of law. Ruto opposed the constitution, but I'm reminding him he's sworn by the same constitution. He's obliged to follow it, and he should not get police to become criminals, to vandalize people's homes, and to deny Kenyans their rights. And I'm saying even yesterday, we saw them descending upon peaceful people in the town who are either demonstrating or carrying on their business, beating them up, throwing them in their vehicles as though they were goods, and stepping on them. This harassment must stop. This intimidation is a campaign of intimidation to take away people's voices so that people may stop complaining about the unconstitutionalities in the Ruto administration.
We've had so many abductions the past 4 days, and young people in the country are saying that the government is playing against them. What can you say? Because I know you have experience in this kind of game that is being played. What can you say about it?
It's a campaign of intimidation, abductions, murder, injuries, and even harassment of people in their homes, like Mr. Wanjigi, arbitrary arrests. All these are tactics of a dictator. But I'm telling William Ruto, Bashir of Sudan, one of the largest and renowned armies, is still there. In Egypt, after Tahrir Square, the regime still fell. No dictator, even communist China, after Tiananmen Square, the regime had to change. In history, no dictator has ever succeeded over the people. So it's a question of when, not if. The best thing he can do for himself is to obey the constitution and the law and to heed the people's demands.
Yesterday, Honorable Jimmy Wanjigi, maybe the last question. Yesterday, the Honorable Jimmy Wanjigi went out to support agencies, and he openly said that he's supporting whatever they are doing. Maybe from your take, what are you supporting whatever they've been doing, and what do you think should be the end game?
I've already been on record, and I was on Citizen TV, and I said so. And I went to Mudibengu yesterday. I was out there, and police were more than the people. They were denying people entry to town. They were in every corner, and any place they saw more than 10 people, they were locking tear gas. We actually locked tear gas. Yeah. So these are all intimidation and nobody is going to stop. This intimidation will not work. So to Kenyans, let's not give up. It's our country. Let's continue doing what we are doing. Aluta continue.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa.
Mheshimiwa, naweza Kiswahili moja tu Kiswahili ya Citizen Radio.
We've seen what is happening. If they are going to remain the politics of TVs and work on social media, that they want to without giving then they continue saying they're here.
Nusu kwa nusu. So guys, so that is what was happening right now at Jimmy Wanjigi's house number 44 at Odinga Road. Yeah, we have already spoken to Mother Karua, and Mother Karua is waiting for the policeman to go so that she can leave. So stay tuned. We'll be showing you everything that is going on. Just